Omaha Mom Talks, proudly sponsored by Diventures Swim School, where giggles and goggles unite. Welcome back to Omaha Mom Talks. I'm your host, Jessica Gutierrez, and today we are diving into an important conversation about water safety. I am chatting with Jessica Jarosh. She is the Chief Marketing Officer at Diventures Swim School. We are going to be chatting about all things water safety and how to get your kids signed up. Let's get into it. All right, Jessica, welcome to Omaha Mom Talks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to connect. So before we dive in,
Gonna dive in today.
Pun intended. Share with our listeners just a little bit about yourself. Like, where did you grow up?
Yeah.
What are you up to these days?
Yeah.
Anything important about yourself?
Well, I am, I guess, a proud Omaha mom. So I did grow up here.
Cool.
And from the Omaha area. I left for a little while, went out to New York City. But there's just something about Omaha. So I made my way back here with my husband and kind of raising our family here now. But I have a 3-year-old daughter, so rambunctious toddler that's
oh my gosh. Wild.
keeping me on my toes every day. And, you know, we love exploring Omaha. There's so much coming to the city and just kind of seeing a lot of the new things here. And then we love to travel and explore. We're both certified scuba divers, which we'll probably talk about a little bit today. But love to travel, you know, anytime we can sneak out of Nebraska and get to the ocean and get to go scuba diving, we're going to try to make it happen. So
That's awesome. Now, do you travel with your little?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We try to
super
take
impressed
her.
with parents that travel with littles.
I will say we do, but we also have some that she doesn't.
Sure,
That's
yes.
on, and we're, you know, my family's here, so we're so lucky. She has great grandparents.
Cool.
His family's really close, so they also, when we're scuba diving, it's hard because you're underwater and kind of away for a lot of the day. So then she stays back with the grandparents.
Sure, but you have traveled with her.
Yeah,
That's
she
awesome.
loves an airplane. That's her favorite.
Oh, yay!
Yep.
I love that. Are there anything like things that you did growing up in Omaha, like traditions or like special Omaha things that you try and do or like recreate with your kiddo? Like I always think of like the downtown slides, which are now like Gene Leahy, you know.
What's funny, I mean, actually, I had like my 3rd birthday party as a kid at Heartland of America Park, which is now different and remodeled and a huge part of the riverfront development. So I was there as a kid. I don't really remember that, but my mom will show me
I
those
bet
pictures.
she does. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Growing up, I mean, we were always a water family. So a lot of times at Nebraska lakes and pools and things like that. And definitely, my daughter, we're doing a lot of that with her as well.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, lead us into your role at Diventures and like what got you started.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a swim background or a love for water.
Yeah,
so share with us a little bit about how you got involved.
Yeah, definitely a water person. And I think I always have been. I grew up swimming competitively and loved the water. And just, you know, first job was as a lifeguard. Then I got into water safety and water safety instruction, teaching swim lessons. I was a pool manager for the city of Omaha back in the day.
I always think it would have been such a fun job as a teen.
My gosh.
I love to get my tan on.
It was the best. Now there were certainly a lot of stressful and safety situations as well, but highly recommend lifeguarding as a summer job.
Yeah.
So just was always drawn to the water. My family, we spent a lot of time just in the water growing up and again at lakes and pools. And so just was always kind of called to the water. And then I learned to scuba dive when I was 13. I kind of became my dad's scuba buddy, dive buddy, if you will.
Did he like just always have a love for that, or how do you think
he had always kind of done it. And my mom doesn't dive. And so you need a buddy to go diving. And so when I was 13, he was like, "You're going to be my buddy." My brother got certified as well. And, you know, we started diving in Mexico. We'd go down to Cozumel a lot. But yeah, we're partnering up with my dad and just going on adventures with him.
So cool. I love that. Okay. So at Diventures, tell us a little bit about your role and some of your day-to-day responsibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Diventures. And we are a scuba and swim center based here in Omaha. We're founded here in Omaha about 15 years ago. and have expanded across the country. So now we have 18 different locations. And so my role in marketing is really, I'm supporting stores at any of those locations, and really helping them make sure they have what they need to promote the brand, to help bring in new customers, and just different ways to keep our customers connected with swimming activities, lessons, scuba training, dive travel. So that's a big part of it. I get to collaborate with all of our store teams across the country.
Do you travel then for your job?
Yeah. Yep. Get to travel to stores, store openings, or different customer events that they might have. We're really customer centric and all about delivering the best customer experience at our stores. So, for me, every day I try to spend the beginning of my day just listening to customers, whether that's Google reviews or their class surveys, or just getting out and chatting with them a little bit, getting their feedback about what we're doing great, what we can be doing better.
Yeah.
And then being in marketing, it's always, planning and thinking ahead and how do we bring new people into the sport of diving, just get them comfortable with trying it out, thinking about maybe their first dive trip and where they can go, or why they should come and try swim lessons and why they're so important.
Yeah. Well, I think I would love to dive into this chat about why swim lessons are so important. I think as a mom with littles, luckily there is a lot of information about, I always tell my kids, I don't want them to think that the water is just always safe. I want them to know there are potential dangers. I never want to give them that false narrative. And that's why learning how to swim and being safe in the water is important to me. But chat with me about some of the importance of water safety and obviously drowning or having some sort of scary event is what we're trying to prevent.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about fun all day and the water can bring so much fun, but safety is number one for us. And if the safety is not there, the water can have a totally different and dangerous impact. So it is all about safety first. It's really why we exist, whether, again, it's a swim class or a scuba class, safety comes first. And, really, when you look at the statistics, it's terribly tragic, but there are 4,500 unintentional drowning deaths every year in the United States. That's 12 unintentional drowning deaths a day here in the United States.
Wow.
And a quarter of those or more are children. So drowning for ages 1 to 4 is the leading cause of death. It's ahead of car accidents, ahead of other things, that you're always trying to be so safe with your kids, your young kids about,
Car seat
car
safety.
seat ride. Are we doing all the things right around cars? But water safety, and unfortunately drowning being that number one cause of death for ages 1 to 4. So it's
heartbreaking.
So important. And we just feel, because we love to be around the water and we're teaching people to be around the water, this emotional obligation to really bring water safety to the communities that we're in and help try to reduce those numbers. And unfortunately, out of COVID and just some of the restrictions and things that were in place, those drowning numbers have gone back up.
Okay.
The ratios are not trending in the direction that anyone would want to see. But there are ways to help prevent drowning and reduce those numbers. And so that's really what we strive to do every day through lessons and some of the other teachings that we do.
Yeah. So we know that swim lessons in general, as a non-swim person, I'm swim lessons are good for my kids because it teaches them a skill that's going to keep them safe. But how exactly do swim lessons help?
Yeah. There's kind of the things that and that you think about, and there's even some of the just maybe intangibles or softer skills that you don't think about. So I'll just talk about my daughter for a second. And again, she's a rambunctious 3-year-old.
I have one too. She's 4. She's a wild.
But she did love the water. And so she was one that would run and jump in, right? And that was just what she wanted to do. She loved the water. She has always loved bath time. And so even just thinking about lessons, and she's taken lessons at Diventures for a while now, but there's a process to it, right? She comes to the pool with mom and dad. She holds our hands. She has to sit and wait for the teacher to be ready. And then when she's in class, she has to sit on the wall and wait until it's her time. And so just some of those things and seeing how she responds a little bit differently when we go to a hotel pool and she's listening, not always, but she's listening better, right? And it's, you have to stay on the edge, until someone's ready. So even some of those things that you don't think about are so important just in that process and kind of that habit that you're forming with continual swim lessons.
Absolutely.
But then in class, there's, of course, things that are so important. I mean, we start really young with some of the babies. An independent backflow is a survival skill. It's so important. And so that is a crucial skill that we're working to teach. There's other things like just how to get the edge of the pool and hold on, and little monkey walks and how they can move, down the edge of the pool and maybe get to a shallower area, or to where there is a ladder, to exit. So in addition to floating and as you get into some of the stroke techniques, just safely entering and exiting a pool, super, super important.
Yeah. So my kids are at Diventures right now, and they're 4 and almost 7. And we were laughing because one of the earlier skills that they learned was how to get in and out of the pool safely with this whole little like elbow technique. And one day, our 4-year-old used that same technique to climb up on the counters.
Oh, no.
And we were literally like, how did she get up there? And she's like, I did elbow. And I'm like, well, I can't say that I'm not proud. You learned a lesson.
Were there cookies up there?
Used it. Yeah. Who knows? But we were like laughing so hard. We're like, well, at least she is learning.
Yeah.
And she's using her skills.
No, it's
so
elbow, tummy, knee.
Okay.
So, so important, but something like I never really thought of.
And I wouldn't have had the
I'd
language.
always be lifting my kid out of the pool, right?
Yeah.
And it is crucial that they know how to get out. And we teach, there's 2 things when you start lessons, 2 questions, at the start. And the first is what happens if you fall in a pool. And ideally, you're going to turn and grab that edge, and then you can help yourself out. And then what happens if you fall off a boat, or maybe you're in the middle of the water, and that really is, then I'm going to float and call for help.
Yeah.
So
when I was kind of saying earlier that I guess for lack of a better term, don't mind if my kids have a little fear of the water.
Yeah.
Would you say that, I don't know, does that resonate with you and like what you're teaching and giving them the realistic, things that can happen if they're not safe, or would you encourage parents to use different language? Or
I definitely encourage parents to talk about it. It's something that safety around the pool, I think anytime we're even driving to the pool, or it's going to be summer here, and if we're out at a lake, on the drive there, just getting her in that frame of mind, like you have to be with your parents. In the lake, you're going to be wearing your life jacket. And so I think talking about it more is a good thing. We don't want to instill necessarily a fear and like a deep-rooted fear of the water, because we want that fun to be there, and it can if you're doing things safely. But I think talking about it and expressing those concerns, and we teach a program from the American Red Cross for water safety. It's called Whale Tales.
Okay.
And whale stands for water habits are learned early. And so there's all of these tips, for kids that aren't maybe as scary, but they have fun whale terms and videos.
Yes.
And don't just pack it, wear your jacket.
Okay.
Think or throw. Don't go. If your friend's struggling, don't jump in.
Yes.
You want to reach or throw something. There's a lot more rhyming ones, and I'm not going to think of all of them. But, we do these water safety presentations, sometimes at swim lessons, or sometimes out in the community. And I think, kids have to know that there are real reasons behind these, and just making those kind of an intrinsic part of any time you're going to the water. Let's talk through these safety rules.
Yes. And that is just something we do. Like we're always we call it setting expectations in our car, and like we go over the rule, walking feet, whatever they are. And our last one is always, and have fun. And they all say it with me in the car. But I think it's really important just to give them an idea of this is like why we're being safe, because there are potential things that could happen that mom doesn't want to happen for you.
Yeah, and then that can lead to explaining, the role of the lifeguard and why that's so important, and why they're there is because things can happen. And truthfully, I mean, they can happen anywhere, and they can happen to anyone. So it's a conversation. Don't put it off.
Right.
Unfortunately, drowning can happen to anyone and anywhere.
Yeah. So let's talk about, when is the best time, in your opinion, to start swim lessons? And is it ever too early?
Yeah. Okay, so the American Academy of Pediatrics does recommend swim lessons around the age of 1.
Okay.
And I don't ever want to put mom guilt on somebody, and is it ever too late? No.
Right.
But it really does depend, on your family and how often you might be around the water. We do start lessons really young. We can start at 2 months.
Okay.
We see a lot of I would say 5, 6, 7-month-olds in classes, and it can be really fun with that age, but they're also sometimes a little more buoyant, and they can get that float down pretty well.
They can. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
cool.
They can. There's some just kind of intrinsic things with some of the younger ones, but for me, and I'll just speak kind of even from my own experience, we knew we were going to be around the water a lot, and so just avoiding that fear. I mean, you think of what toddlers go through and stranger danger, and starting younger, they're not scared of an instructor. Right away they don't. I think it was, I don't know if she was closer to 18 months when it was anybody that looks at me besides mom is so scary, So getting them comfortable with another teacher early and just getting comfortable, with the setting of classes. But I would say if you're a family that's going to be around the water, starting before that age of 1 and around the time they're walking, because that is an age where then they can make their way to water on their own.
Yes. I think I'm laughing in my head because I grew up also, we went boating all of the time and skiing and all of those things. And I love just being by the water, the lake, the pool, whatever. And when I had my first daughter, her first summer, she was a newborn. So I didn't really take her out in the sun a lot. I was nervous. And then the second, as the time gone by, my cousins who all live in California, they're like, does she love the water? I was like, well, she loves bath time, but we live in Nebraska and it's cold now. So we haven't had a lot of exposure, but I had to remember but we plan to be as it gets nicer, in Nebraska. Yeah. And so looking into how can I help prepare her to be safe around the water and getting her into lessons. I think that there's also a lot of swim lessons options in our community, which is great. What do you think kind of sets Diventures apart from some of those other options?
Yeah. So, one of the big things with us is swim lessons it's just the beginning. And so really we're trying to think about the water as a lifelong enjoyment for these kids. And so it all starts with that safety and with swim lessons. But some of the things that I think are really different in what we do is we're including a little bit of ocean education and learning about sea life and kind of opening their eyes to everything that's out there, water and aquatic related.
Yeah,
and
my kids love that.
You get to see a little bit about scuba diving. There might even be some scuba divers, down in the deep end. We do some ecology courses for our kids. So if you're someone who loves the water as well and really helping them see, it's not just about learning these strokes, but everything that's out there. And we have, some little 6-year-olds that are like, I'm going to be a marine biologist when I get older. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So that's something that I think really sets us apart. We do teach any age, any stage. So we start at babies, but we also go all the way up through adults, which not every swim school does. Yeah. We have a deep water pool, so we can do, some of the training for the older kids as well. We keep our class sizes really small and personalized attention for our students.
Remind me what your ratio is?
Yeah, 4 to 1. 4 to 1 for almost every class.
Great.
So some of the swim team prep and really big advanced kids are a little larger, but 4 to 1 is pretty much
I know
the
that
standard.
ratio is something that's important to me. We've done lots of different swim lessons and had lots of great experiences as well. But we've been in Diventures now for a couple of months, and I like the small class size because I have busybody girls and they do not like sitting on the side. And so my oldest, she was in these larger classes years ago, and she would fall into the water, but because she was bored and wanted to get in the water, she's like, don't let me sit here any longer. And it's just knowing that they don't have to just sit on the side and they're getting that time with instructor and in the water and gaining those skills that we're there for really is important to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
no,
we
love our ratios, and some people will think our group or is private better, and there's options for that. We do private swim lessons as well. And for some kids that is better, but sometimes it's good for them not too long to sit on the wall, but to see oh, that's how they do it. And, oh, I'm watching them and just cheering on, their friends in the water.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is we really just try to help track that progress and show parents, what skills we're working on. So we have a little passport to adventure. I brought one today. But this just shows each of our levels for swim. And this one's my daughter. So she's only and baby beginner here. But they check off the skills as they're going through. And then we use these water safety rings to show the skills that are really, really important for safety. So just helping parents know, what we're working on, what you can practice at home in the bathtub, or if you're out at the pool. So making sure our parents know kind of where they're at with the progress of their kid.
And that's something that I really appreciate. So that comes home with us each night after we just had swim last night. And then I know the language because kind of like when they go to gymnastics and I don't know the language, I can't tell them, let's practice at home because I don't even know. And so having that passport, I can go through like the skills that they've mastered or the skills that they're working on, and I know the language. They'll still correct me if you wrong.
Say, no, that's great. I didn't even think of that.
And that's super helpful for me. And I can see that they're actually, again, like gaining skills and learning. And it's not just like, oh, we were in this class for X amount of weeks and I don't know what they learned.
Exactly.
So that part is really helpful. Yeah, I love that. With Diventures, you had mentioned that there's also adult lessons. Yeah. So I just think of like, I have an aunt who loves the water, and she was the aunt who always took me to the ocean. We went to Hawaii, we went all these places, but she never learned how to swim because she had a really scary experience as a child where her stepdad threw her in the water and she just could never get over that fear of getting back in the water. So I know a lot of parents, not just moms, have had either scary experiences or just never learned. And there is some, shame or embarrassment there. And so what would you say to maybe adult swimmers who are interested in getting into some lessons?
Yeah. Well, one, you can do it and just take that plunge and try it. I mean, we do offer trial lessons.
Okay.
So you can do a free trial and just start there. Make sure you're ready, to take that step. We do a lot of adult swim lessons, and they're so powerful. And there are group adult lessons, but there's also private adult lessons, just depending on what you're comfortable with. But, sometimes I've never got my face wet, or I'm not comfortable getting my face wet in the pool, and just really moving at their speed. But it is doable. It's never too late to learn.
Yes.
And just kind of getting some of the process and the pieces and the technique in place that will make you more comfortable. And, a lot of people say, I'll never be able to float. I just can't, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Let's work on some things, with your instructor. So, they really are some of our students who are probably overcoming the most. And like you said, sometimes there's some bias there. I'm worried about some of the guilt for never, learning.
Yeah.
But it really is never too late. And just the smiles that we see as an adult, maybe takes their first lap, to the deep end is so powerful.
Yes. Hey, Omaha Mom Talks. It's me, Jessie. I'm super excited to share with you guys that we are partnering with Diventures Swim School. Learning how to swim and do it safely is a huge priority for our family. I'm heading over to Diventures later this week to tour their facilities and get my girls enrolled in classes. All of their classes are customized based on age and skill level. I took a really easy, quick quiz online to determine which class was best for my kids. If you're interested in swim lessons for your kids, please check them out at Diventures Swim School to determine which class would be best for you. So as a mom, I just want to talk about like your thoughts and ideas on like life jackets and these like puddle jumpers. I feel like, so my oldest is almost 7. And so I feel like there's been a change in what the professionals are saying. And so what's kind of your hot take on puddle jumpers, life jackets, the swimmer, I can't think of what they're called.
Arms. Yeah. Well, I'll start with life jackets, and, anytime that you're in the open water, so here we're probably talking about lakes mostly, kids under 13 should be in a life jacket.
Okay, under 13.
And you just don't know what's in the water. I mean, this year, there's certain lakes, I think, that are high and certain lakes that are low, and what sort of entanglements are there, but when you can't see the bottom,
it's our lakes are
dark. And so, especially if you're out boating, even if they're a strong swimmer, there are things that can happen, or, you are in a tubing accident, God forbid, but anything where they might be a little bit panicked, that life jacket is going to be helpful. So anytime you're in that open water, I was a competitive swimmer growing up, and I remember being like 10 years old, and my mom would be like, wear the life jacket. And my aunt's like, and I'm like, no,
Yes.
I just had a swim meet. It doesn't matter. You're in a lake, you're going on the boat, you got to do it.
Yes. Our family was the same way, just to add. Like, my dad was really big on safety things with us, and we had to wear life jacket. Even if I was just swimming in the lake, like sometimes we'd get out of the boat and he'd just let me swim, and I would throw a fit because I would be like 10, 12, and I thought, like, I'm a good swimmer, and I'm also, like, I didn't think it was cool.
Yes, they don't always look cool, the life jackets.
And I'll never forget this one memory of, we went to Lake of the Ozarks, and I swam the whole time in the pool because I refused to wear a life jacket. And my dad was like, the hard rule is, like, if you want to be in the lake, you have to wear and I was just, like, so stubborn. And that was our rule. And even now, like, my oldest, she'll want to play, like, on the sand. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You're feeling like you're safe and you're confident, but it just takes one big wave to come knock you down. And, like, for us to all just be able to enjoy ourselves, you're going to be wearing the life jacket at the lake.
Yeah, exactly. And they remember, right? Like, if you, I've seen this with my nieces and nephews, if you give them one time and, okay, just this once, it's special, you don't have to wear your jacket, we're just going to go slow. Like, they don't forget that.
No
then
way.
why do I have to wear it the next time?
They're fighting for that again. Yeah.
Again, back to our whale tails. Don't just pack it, wear the jacket. Super, super important. And on the boat, look for Coast Guard approved jackets and all of that.
Okay.
There's been a lot with social media and just thoughts and general, there's been a lot of
definitely polarizing ideas, right? About, like, are they beneficial? Are they more harmful?
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that I keep seeing is that it gives them the false security of, like, being able to swim.
Yep.
And so then maybe one day they're at the pool and they don't have that, but they jump in because, I'm always safe in the water. Yep. Is that something that
It can be something. I mean, my thing with puddle jumpers, and I'll be honest, I've used them, so I don't want to, shame anyone. And that's just when there's multiple kids, I want to be super cautious. And does that help a little bit in that situation? But what we try to do is then maybe the last 15 minutes of swimming, we're taking that off and just being really focused and making sure that she still knows you can't.
I like that idea.
Swim in the deep end, at all without that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is really working with them on that positioning in the water, because it can sort of teach this vertical position.
Right.
Then I'm going
up
to
and
flow,
down.
which if that comes off, the vertical position is the worst for you. You really need to be in that back float and what that looks like. So, if you're at a pool with a bunch of kids and, it's difficult, or, you need to keep eyes on everybody, but it's going to offer a little bit more fun for the kid. It can be something you do, but I just think about how you really reinforce, what the right positioning is.
Okay.
And make sure they still feel that a little bit if it is the last 15 minutes of swimming or something without the puddle jumper.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So we also, I don't want to shame anyone, because we have puddle jumpers in our garage for storage. We've used them. For my youngest, it's just funny, like, to see the progression. So, like, at 2 years old, she was scared of the water, and she'd be, like, on the outside, and we're doing lots of pool days, or I'd even just leave her home and take my oldest. Then at 3, she got introduced to the life jacket and found out she could just float, and she was, like, very confident doing that, but I did learn she was reliant on it. So as we got her into swim lessons at Diventures, she was like, I can't swim without my life jacket. And I'm like, oh, that's why we're going to lessons, so that they can teach you. And she was really mad. I wouldn't even let her bring it to Diventures because I just knew it was going to be like a hassle. And she was so mad, but now she's learning, right? I can swim. I'm learning these skills with an adult, and because she's just turned 4. But it's cute because we go to this friend's pool every summer, Audra's pool. And she's like, Mom, when I go to Audra's pool, can I still take my life jacket? And I said, yes. And especially if Mom's not there, I'll be wearing your life jacket.
Yeah.
But I like that she is learning some of these skills, and that she doesn't have to be reliant on the life jacket, but is a tool that we still use to stay safe. Yeah. When we do have kids that are just, like, petrified of the water, what are some tips for parents that you can offer to help them feel just a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah. I mean, environment is so, so important for kids. And so first, you can come in for as many tours and test the locker room and put your stuff in there, or watch a lesson, just getting them comfortable with the space. And we've seen it, you're driving up to the parking lot and there might be a couple tiers in the parking lot. Like, get them comfortable with coming to Diventures or coming to their swim lesson place. We do offer free trial swim lessons. And so sort of no strings attached. That first lesson, they're getting in the water with the teacher, get some of the bugs out, just one-on-one, shake it out, you know, and kind of see what they're looking for.
How can parents access that, like, trial lesson?
Yeah, you can book a free trial lesson online.
Okay.
It's all on our website. You can call us, or you can certainly just come in and sign up.
Okay, cool.
Yep, we offer those pretty much all the time with a teacher.
Yeah, and I think that exposure is a great way to get kids just with, like, seeing the environment and seeing what to expect before, like, a commitment.
Watch another kid, kind of see how that goes. And then, you know, it really depends. Sometimes private lessons are just going to be better for a kid if there has been a really, you know, maybe traumatic past experience with the water. If there's just a really deep-rooted fear of the water, those private lessons and one-on-one attention might be better suited for them.
Okay.
Or sometimes it just takes a couple lessons to get comfortable, to get familiar with their teacher. And, you know, I've heard parents, they'll say after, like, I'm so sorry, my child cried at the first lesson. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, that's the pool, you know, system's running in there and it's muffling the crying. And don't ever, you know, apologize for us. Our teachers are trained, you know, to work through that.
Yeah.
And it's okay. They're building that relationship with their teacher. It might take a little bit of time to get there. So we'll do everything we can to get past those tears quickly. But if they happen for a little bit, it's all right.
Okay. Yeah. And I will say the instructors have been so patient and so lovely with my girls. My girls are Spitfires, and, like, they are an extension of me, obviously. So they are feisty. And my youngest did this whole, she's so tiny and cute and she knows it. And so she did this whole, like, I'm scared, like the first day. Homegirl ain't scared. She's not scared. And so the teacher was, like, extra babying her, which is fine. She needed that.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because then it transitioned to, I saw her kind of yell at her teacher, I do it myself. And I'm like, yeah, she's not scared. But they've just been, like, so lovely. Because I think I even reached out to you and was like, oh, like, I feel, because you do feel responsible for your kids if they're giving someone a hard time.
Yeah.
And you had, like, checked in with the instructors and you're like, oh my God, no, they said she's great. Like, she's doing fine. And that gave me so much relief because I never want other adults to feel overwhelmed or frustrated by my kids. And so I'm just very grateful for your instructors and how kind and patient and silly they have been with the goody cuties.
We're so lucky. I mean, our whole team is so passionate about the water. I mean, you have to be if that's what you're doing every day, but it's a journey and they know that it's not just come in and learn to swim like this. And so working through that with kids, you know, making adjustments where needed. And they're building a relationship with those swimmers there because you got to trust your swim teacher. Yeah. And then swim teacher has to trust the kid. All right, you know, we're ready to try this skill. Yeah, you're going to do it on your own. Yeah. So, yeah, we're really lucky. We have an awesome team of instructors and swim teachers at Diventures.
And everybody's always having fun there. So when you walk in, if you haven't been to Diventures, it's got a whole, like, tropical vibe, right? Or like a underwater, deep sea.
A little island vibes.
It's island vibes. Yeah, I love it. And it's a really big, like, beautiful space. And so I just love, like, I can see the I'm like an observer, right? And I'm always taking it in. And I can see, like, the staff are chitty-chatty, laughing, goofing, like, when they're not in the water, obviously.
Yeah.
And it just seems like everybody's having a good time, which is like, that's the energy that I want for my kids, right? To see that, like, people are having a good time, people are greeting them, smiling, welcoming them, helping them feel comfortable.
Yeah. And that's so important. I mean, when we think about what should a parent look for, you know, in swim lessons, and you have to feel really good about it. It's not just something that you're maybe booking for a month or two. I mean, it really is. It's not a sprint. It's getting them all the way through so that they can be really adept and conquer that life skill and be more confident and sufficient in the water. And so it's got to be something that you feel, you know, good about as a parent. And I think you were asking, you know, what should parents look for? And, like, my first thing is make sure you're finding something that's going to work for you. So we offer a lot of different class times. Yes. We have space where you can see the kids, but when you sign up for swim lessons, do that trial, make sure you're ready to go. But then you're booking this and investing in a life skill. And so that it's something I can commit to, leading up to the summer and really getting my kids ready to be around the water.
Yes. Well, and I'm just thinking in my head, because again, we've tried several different like swim lessons and swim schools, and I'm grateful for all of them. But I know like at one point, I think this was last summer, I was like, quite honestly, like I just found these like 2 high schoolers that were super sweet and willing to do it. And they are strong swimmers, but they didn't have that like background or training in working with small kids. And again, my little Spitfires, like these poor teen boys who were lovely, were chasing around my youngest. Like she just was like entertaining them and herself. And so I'm like, while it's fun, I didn't feel like they were learning any skills, and which is of course what I want. I want them to feel safe in the water. And so I do think that like you are investing in your children's skills and their water safety skills. And at Diventures, I do feel like they're learning, they're gaining. And that's what I want in order for us to be able to feel safe and comfortable on all of our pool outings we're going to be making this summer.
I know, it's coming.
I know. I cannot wait. And I will say, like, the older your kids get, the more fun it gets. Like, I'm so excited for this summer because
it's so different than last summer,
Issa's
right?
Finally 4, and like I don't have to be like necessarily holding her every minute or whatever, and so it just gets more fun if you love water. And then the more confident they are, the more relaxed I can feel.
Yeah. And we teach a curriculum through Swim Schools International, and so all of our teachers are trained in that same curriculum. So they're following, if you have one teacher for your level 1 and then you move up, they know how to teach that prior level. They know all of their curriculum that's there. But it's an international program. All of our swim teachers are fully trained in that, as well as in first aid. And so we're teaching kind of the latest curriculum and proven swim techniques to get somebody to make that progress and to be more sufficient in the water.
Yes. And I think that is something I know for me, again, I'm repeating myself, but when I've tried other swim, knowing that they are making improvements and I'm seeing the progress because that curriculum is having them, there's a checks and balance, right? With like the passport and the skills that are getting checked off. And I know what they've learned, and I know that we're continuing to move forward. And I'll have one right now. I'll tell you, last night she was ready to like, I don't know if you call it like level up. But at the very end, she didn't get out of the pool. She was swimming, playing, and so she didn't get to because she wasn't listening. And I think that's a perfectly responsible, we have to hold her accountable. She wouldn't get out. And so the teacher said, sorry, like you're not going to, and she was upset, and I'm like, maybe next time. But that's like exactly what I would have done, right? Like we can't reward negative
there's
behavior.
A process to level up, but when they do, you're going to have a great celebration when they do. It's so awesome when our kids get to level up and get to that next stage.
I am excited for her. And I will say, oh my gosh, this was so cool. So we went to a swim party for a birthday party, and I didn't have to get in. I just took my oldest, and they had lifeguards on duty, and there was a diving board, and I'm like way far away in this other indoor pool, and I see her get up on the diving board and line, and I'm like, no way is she gonna, like she's confident, but like I think she'll chicken out, or I think that girl did it like 20 times that day. I had to take video. I didn't even think she'd do it once, and just like jump out, down off the diving board, swim to the side, get out again and again and again and again. And I was so proud of her because I didn't even think she could do that or be brave enough. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was so proud
She's going to
of
have
her.
a fun summer.
Yeah.
She's just going to be
She's a riot.
It
was so cool to see. Well, I want to chat with you a little bit about something I know nothing about, which is this whole scuba world. So share with me a little bit about that and what's offered at Diventures.
Yeah, sure. So, it all starts with swim lessons, really, just building that safety and building comfort and then all of your, your strokes in the water. But we also do full scuba training at Diventures. Okay. So just depends on where you want to start. I mean, we have a Try Scuba course that really is just trying it. Come in and breathe.
Try Scuba. That's a great name.
Breathe underwater. See what it's like.
No, it feels scary to me. I've told you that. Like, I don't know. But Tell me more.
Yeah. So it starts with the Tri Scuba experience, and then we teach, open water certification. So you get certified to dive anywhere in the world to a certain depth. And then we teach all of the advanced classes. So there's tons of specialty training you can do depending on what type of diving you want to experience. But a lot of people have that kind of fear, or what's it going to be like? What could happen down there? And for me, it's the most calm I'll ever be. It's such a calming, relaxing feeling. And of course you have to get comfortable with your gear and comfortable with the skills, but it is truly amazing to see, what's underwater in the other 70% of our world. And, some of my favorite sea creatures and animals that live down there, but just beautiful. Underwater.
I honestly can't imagine how cool as like a 13-year-old and growing up.
Yeah.
Because like all of that is still a mystery to me. Yeah. Like I don't know what's down there in the ocean. And so what a cool experience. Oh, Lordy. Well, tell me again, because like I feel like since now we're going weekly to Diventures, I feel like there's this whole scuba community that I didn't know existed in Omaha. Like
it is crazy. We're here, we're landlocked. I think we're triple landlocked if you do the exact geography or math. But we do have an awesome community. So, we do a lot of courses, we sell all the gear, but we also do a lot of local diving. So there are quarries in Iowa. There's some different lakes and channels that we'll go to here in Nebraska. And people, some people say any puddle, we can make it happen.
Oh my gosh. Well, like what would be the benefit of getting certified if I'm going on a trip?
Sure.
And what would be the benefit of getting certified like here in advance, I guess?
Yeah. So really, if you're going on vacation, you want to spend your vacation time maybe not studying or practicing skills or being in a classroom. So you can do all of that training here with certification. There's some digital learning. You got your homework that you got to do.
Okay.
And then you're learning alongside an instructor in the pool and going through all of those skills. And probably similar to swim, but we teach comfort through repetition. And so it really is just you do the same skill again and again and again until you're completely comfortable with it, and then kind of moving on to the next one. But yeah, the value, before the trip is just getting that comfort completely there so that when you're on the trip, you can have so much fun with it. Probably a little biased, but we have some awesome scuba instructors who have just loads of experience and make those classes so fun. And
those are the people that I often see that I'm like, they look like they're having a good time.
They're having a good time.
I love that.
But we're not focused on quantity. I mean, it's not, it's not just to get people out in the ocean. It's really to make sure they're safe and confident divers. And so when you're training with us before a trip or maybe even coming on one of our trips, it's really about quality instruction and just making the best diver possible. And that way you can go out and experience everything underwater, if that is in Nebraska or in the ocean somewhere far away.
Yeah. One of my friends, actually, him and his wife did the Tri Scuba as a date.
Yeah.
And I think it's
date night.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's such a cute idea. Like to try something new together that's out of your comfort zone, but like the fun. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
My husband's my dive buddy, but it is really fun to just see, your spouse or your partner in a different environment and sometimes work through something, learn something new together. We also do it a lot as like a team building. Okay. And again, just with coworkers or colleagues, same thing, get out of that environment that you're in all the time and kind of tackle a new challenge. So the Tri Scuba course is so much fun, and you can take it more than once if you really want, but a lot of people take that and then you can get hooked and it's like, okay, now I want to take this, beyond the pool and let's start talking about certification.
Okay. Well, I feel like I definitely just through chatting with you, I can tell how passionate you are about water safety. And I love that it's been like a part of your life and now is your career. I think that is really cool. When we're thinking about moms who are thinking about signing up their kids for swim, but just don't know where to start, what would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, here we are and it's almost April and summer is coming. So, I would say now is the time. Yes. This really is a perfect time. So thank you for having me on now to just prepare for a safer summer. But it is that investment in this life-saving skill. So to get started, We really try to offer class times at what are a bunch of different convenient options.
Lots of options.
To work into your schedule. So we do Monday through Friday evenings. We have Saturday and Sunday classes. You can sign up online. We have a little quiz to help you find, super easy, but to help you find the right class for your kid. Or you can do that trial lesson if you're just not sure what level they're at, or you want to come see the facility.
Your instructors are going to tell us like, oh, I think that.
Yeah, they'll do a little swim assessment and say, okay, I think you're here. Let's start here. There's a couple skills, that we need to work through. But yeah, this time of year, I would definitely say if you haven't done it yet, just do it. And it isn't one of those things that's like, let's just go. And we're trying dance right now to see if my daughter picks it up. And it's like, water safety isn't something you just try. It really is something you got to teach and make a part of their life, especially if you're going to be around the water as a family.
Yes. I think of it just as another safety skill that I'm teaching. Like we don't just run across the street without looking both ways. When we're in parking lots, we're holding a hand with an adult. Like these are just safety skills that I'm teaching them to stay safe in the world, especially if I'm not around someday. Yeah. And so for me and our family, we prioritize it that way as just as a life safety skill that we want for our girls to have.
Absolutely. And just when we think back to some of those statistics and feel this emotional obligation really to help reduce drownings in certainly our communities, hopefully all across the world. But anything that we can do. And sometimes it is just teaching some of those water safety skills and never swim alone. Make sure, you always have a buddy with you as you're around the water. And again, starting early, water habits, starting those really early and making sure that they understand how to be the safest kid, adult, around the water possible.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me with this conversation today. And thank you to everything you guys are doing at Diventures to keep kids safe and have fun along the way. Again, my girls are loving it and we are just having the best time. And I know that it's
doing awesome.
Gonna help.
Can't wait to see them keep progressing in their journey.
It is so
been
cool.
Fun to see.
They're doing so fun. I can't wait for summer too, because it's just going to make summer so much more fun. Well, where can parents find more about Diventures to get their kids signed up?
Yeah, so we're located off 120th and I Street. So you can come anytime. We're open every day of the week. You can come anytime and see us in person. We're online at diventures.com. You can sign up for swim lessons there. You can read more about the program or watch some videos from some of our other swim parents.
I also wanted to add, because you had mentioned earlier,
where else are we?
You mentioned also too that you're not just local to Omaha. So if any of our listeners are not local to Omaha, check at the same website, diventures.com, to see.
Absolutely. See if we have a location near you. We hope to continue to expand and bring swim, to more communities. So
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jessica.
I
love connecting with you.
You too. This is fun.
Yeah. So if this episode was helpful for you, please send to another mama who you think could benefit from learning about how to get their child set up for safety in the water this summer. Thanks, guys. Omaha Mom Talks. Real moms, authentic conversations, no filter needed.